welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Katie, I'm a full-time artist and I'm going to film a vlog today. So it's been a while since I've done one, quite a few months. Generally they don't get the highest views, but personally I love watching vlogs. I really like seeing behind the scenes, so hopefully you'll enjoy this one as I take you on my day. So I'm going to be sharing what I do as a full-time artist. There's going to be some art, there's going to definitely need some tidying, and I'm also on Patreon, so a lot of my work does revolve around that. I see that as like the bulk of my work, so I need to finish editing a video and get a post up for my patrons. And then I also supplement that with client work, so I have a couple of projects on at the moment, but I'm waiting for a contract to come through, so we'll see if that comes today. But I am in a busy period at the moment, work-wise, so there's quite a lot of things that I'm trying to balance, lots of deadlines. There's a workshop I need to film, but I'll probably do that tomorrow. There's just quite a lot going on, so this is definitely a busy season, and it's not always like this. I don't think I've got any client work to do today, so I'm going to be focusing on Patreon and also finishing off a painting. As you can see around me, usually my desk is super tidy for YouTube videos, but I feel like vlogs are a little bit more real and I haven't tidied up yet. I had quite a late night last night working on a video that I was editing, and I had a live stream in the afternoon and I didn't clean up afterwards because I was kind of working on it whilst I was chilling in the evening, which means there's art stuff all over my desk, and although I do want to finish it today, I do find having a messy environment makes me feel cluttered in my head as well. So first up we're going to time-lapse a cleaning of this desk, and then I will run through my to-do list. Okay, I think this is a weird angle, but I've tidied up my desk now, so that's feeling much better. And I'm going to run through the tasks for the day. So I do it all digitally, so obviously it's on my computer normally, but I want to be able to talk them through with you. And I plan on Notion, so I'm just getting the app up. And I have run through that in a vlog before, how I plan my week, so I'll link that up in the cards. But I find it useful because I can move things around really easily. If I don't get to it one day, then I'll push it to the next. So today, there's a couple of things that I need to move from yesterday because I had a dentist appointment which threw my day out a little bit. So I need to do the Patreon welcomes, which I'm going to do next. So I create little icons for our Patreon display, which I'll show you now. And everybody who joins gets a unique little drawing. And then this whole display changes as people leave and people join, and it's really lovely to see everybody's name up there and really be able to visualise the patrons that I have. So I do need to organise this because there are some that have left now, but I'm going to be doing the new ones. I've got one done who joined yesterday and I haven't shared on Instagram yet, and then 2 new ones. So I'm going to crack on with those first. Then I need to finish the Patreon video edit and upload that to YouTube. Write the post and all the information that goes with that because that's a bonus video for this month. I have filmed the YouTube video, which we're doing right now. And then I need to start the palette cleanser. So the palette cleanser is a monthly email I send to all tiers on my Patreon. And it's basically a big roundup of things I've been finding inspiring, some art challenges for the next month if people want to join them. Basically a big and more personal chat about what's going on in my life and work-wise as well. So I need to start writing that. And then I've got loads of little bits to do. So I've got redo my Patreon icons for my tiers and also edit a YouTube video. I'm not sure if I'll get to that, but we'll see how we go. So basically it's a very computer heavy day, but I also want to finish that painting, which I generally don't put creative like artwork stuff on my to-do list. I'll just do that whenever. But I do want to finish that today, and hopefully that will be interesting for you to watch, and I won't just be on my computer all of the time. So I'm going to crack on with the Patreon icons, and then we'll get on to some editing.
Every little thing adds up. I'm over it, but have enough. A stimulant, but where's it from? Don't have time to buy my love. Why don't you wake me up when it's over? Just wake me up when it's over. Not today. Why don't you wake me up when it's over? Just wake me up when it's over. But not today.
Guilty every time I smile. Wanted all I get to be worthwhile. Quietly I love 'cause I'm with you. We get to see what's up when it's just two. So why don't you wake me up when it's over? Just wake me up when it's over. But not today. Why don't you wake me up when it's over? Just wake me up when it's over.
So once I'd finished doing all of the Patreon icons, I moved on to editing, and I use Premiere Pro to edit all my videos, and this is the Patreon video, so I just had a few little edits to do on that, and then I could write the post. So I write down all of the information on Patreon, and then I create the thumbnail that needs to go onto YouTube via Photoshop. I do get asked a lot about my graphics, so in a minute I'm going to walk you through how I create my graphics for Instagram, just to try and keep the branding the same and how to keep it consistent. So I'm going to show you and walk you through that in a bit. Here I am just uploading it to YouTube and then finishing off the post. I also moved on to editing my YouTube video, so I got started with this one, and I also go through all of my Tombow colours. So when I do upload on YouTube, I try and include all of the shades that I use. So you can see here I'm just going through all the Tombows and swatching them out, and then writing down the shade numbers ready for me to move into my description box when I do upload it. So that was my morning up to that point, and I'm just going to move on to a screen share and show how I create my Instagram graphics. So I've just put up on my stories this question box, which was asking if you have any questions for like behind the scenes, and one of the topics that I wanted to include in this vlog, and that I have been asked a couple of times on Instagram, is about my graphics and how I create them, how I keep them consistent. And most of the time you'll see me use these three images that I've created. So this is just a PNG, so I just did them in 3 different colours. So I try and keep a consistent colour palette on Instagram. So because I saved them as PNGs, they've got a transparent background, and then I just upload them from my phone. I'll show you an example here of a screen recording, and I'll just add that onto my story as a background for my text. And I find that's a really nice way to keep things consistent, so generally people will see them and they'll know it's my story. I also stick with the same font, so I'll use this one on Instagram, and generally that's what I'll do when I'm taking photos and I want to add text on. I'll often use these. Sometimes I'll just do some coloured backgrounds like with their little tool, but I do find these really helpful, and I just made these on my iPad on Procreate, and then I moved them onto Photoshop, saved them onto PNGs and put them onto my phone photos. And then here on Photoshop I've also got these 2 artboards here to show you how I do some of my bigger graphics. So these are all elements that I've drawn myself in Procreate, and in the working file they're all individual elements. I like to create this sort of style as if it is on the Instagram app, with the kind of typewriter font and then some little blobs and things, and this is all my own text. So I do try and keep it really personal. I like to include my own writing. Here's another example with some shapes in the background, a different font there just to try and distinguish it from the rest. Sometimes I won't write stuff like this on, I'll do that in the actual Instagram app and like write it down here and add the links and things. I need to create my Patreon graphics for the month, so I thought I'll move that from Friday's to-do list into today so I can show you how I work it. This is my main file on Photoshop, so these are all artboards sized to be 1080 by 1920, which is the Instagram story size. And this is the working file, so everything is separate. You can see my little circle graphics there, which I've squished a little bit, and a lighter colour here. So this like beige colour is generally what I'll use for my backgrounds. And then I've got slightly different secondary colours for this one. But again, this is all hand drawn and created in Procreate, and then I take it in. So I've already got my June text here, so I'll bring that in. And then this generally stays the same. So I share these graphics at the beginning of each month just to promote my Patreon on my Instagram. And I'll just update it as we go. So I highlight the exclusive videos in the Patreon, so I'll just update that. And it's handy because obviously I've made this file already and it speeds things up. Just need to look back on my Patreon to see which content I need to share. So the main video was a process video including this spread, so I'm going to pop that one in there and just send that to the back. It does help that I use Photoshop and I know how to use it because of my job as my career as a graphic designer, so it's definitely been really helpful. I also did 2 bonus videos this month and 2 live streams. So generally this one here is for the main sort of videos, and then this artboard here is for the live content. In June we had 2 live streams, so I need to move this all up a little bit. So I'm going to have to jig it around because I want to include more info. And I kind of just move it around like this. This is where I put the exclusive art print. We've got ones at the back there as well. Generally, this has all changed now. So I think we've got 34 plus videos and like more live streams, but I'll keep that as it is. This one I'm going to swap in with maybe a haul. So I'll open up the thumbnail I use and just take it from there. I like these to be square. Pop that in. So I did 2 bonus videos on Patreon last month. So the one that I just uploaded that you'll have just seen me do, as well as the little art haul. This one I want a little bit smaller. See how this looks. It's basically a roundup so people can see what sort of things I do on Patreon and the extra content that they can get by being part of the community. So we had this bonus haul. This is just the font with a white box behind it. So it's really simple and it's just lots of different elements that come together. And then I just adjust the white box behind. Obviously this is my style, so I wouldn't recommend you do this exactly, but I really like this. It took me a while to get a style that I was really happy with, but now I've got all of the elements for like the little doodles and things. It makes making graphics so much quicker, so I definitely recommend taking the time to build up like a little asset bank that you can then use on multiple things, because like I showed you, it works with like my shop updates and things and when I want to promote stuff. So now I'll put you on a time lapse so you can watch me finish the rest of it. Okay, so that's all done now. I think I've covered everything. This is what we've got coming up next month, so I like to give a little preview in what's coming because I try and plan everything, and we actually have a theme next month, so that's quite exciting. So there we go, that's how I create my graphics, especially the ones that are created wholly out of Instagram, but like I say, I do use my assets like the circles in day-to-day stuff when I'm putting text on a photo. So if you do have any questions about this process, then please do pop them in the comments and I'll be happy to share. For now, it's on to finishing the painting in my sketchbook. So finally on to the creative part of the video, and I'm finishing off this painting that I started the day before on a Patreon live stream, which was with TJ from Sketch It Studio, and I'll leave her link down below. But it was a really fun session. It was based on in the ocean, so it was a topic that is pretty new to me. I've only done a few ocean themed pieces, but this one was really fun and I wanted it to be full of colour. So TJ provided a lot of different references and then we put them all together under timers and kind of chose the layout ourselves. And I started it and I really wanted to finish it because I had a vision in my head that it was going to be completely a full spread, full of colour and loads of different mixed media. So you'll see my process with the mixed media in these clips, even though I am just finishing it off. I started with some pan pastels and some coloured pencils as well as some Neocolors, and then I'm finishing it off with some gouache and dough and Inktense pencils and also some Stabilo woody pencils, and I also put some Tombos in there as well. So I really was throwing everything at this piece, and I love to work like that. I love to pick things up depending on what I think will work and then come back to things and not have a set way or order for picking my mediums. I'll just pick what I think works best and depending on the texture and things. So I tried to use lighter colours towards the top and darker towards the bottom just to try and show that it was deeper down there. But really it was a mix of different things and I tried to add so much texture in this piece, so I think that really helps with the mixed media, and I don't think it doesn't feel too busy despite the fact that there's so much colour and texture on here. I use gouache mostly for the larger parts, and you'll have seen that at the beginning as well, and I come in a few more times with the dough and Inktense pencils, and I really love using those dipped in water. It just softens the nib. I think I've used it a few times on the channel before, but it creates a really unique texture that I haven't found to be replicated with other watercolour pencils or other mediums, so that was really fun. And then it was just a case of filling in all of the gaps with more of the colour and adding in little details on like the coral and finishing up the fish and things like that. At the end of this little montage you'll see me photographing it for Instagram, where I set it up in the dining room and stand on a chair, so that's what you'll see at the end. But I'm going to put some music on now and I hope you enjoy watching the rest of this one come to life. So it's 20 to 3 now. I've just had some quick lunch and I've photographed the artwork, so you'll have seen my setup there and where I do it. I like to do it in the dining room with the darker wooden floor compared to my desk, simply because it gives more contrast, and also it just gives me another background for my Instagram images and for my flat lays. But I'm going to end the vlog here because for the rest of the day I'm just going to be on my computer writing up for the palette cleanser email. So like I mentioned earlier, that's the monthly email that goes out to my patrons where I round up all the things I've been finding inspiring. And it does take quite a while to write, so that's what I'm going to knuckle down and do for the rest of the afternoon, which definitely won't make for good watching. But I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. I hope you liked seeing the process for finishing off that painting of the underwater scene. It's very busy and there's a lot to it, but I am quite pleased with how it turned out. There's definitely some more areas I'd like to explore, including all the textures, but I think it's a really good starting point for something to jump off from and see how I can develop it further. So as always, if you do have any questions or want to know anything else, please do pop them in the comments. But I really hope you enjoyed this vlog. I had fun filming it and I hope it was interesting seeing what I do day to day. I did talk a lot about my Patreon, so I will link that down below if you'd like to join us for monthly calls and drawing sessions. But otherwise, I hope you have a lovely week and I will see you next week with a new video. See you later!